Hi guys, it's been a while. I was on hiatus for 2 months straight due to unplanned circumstances, but I am back now officially. You guys sent me a lot of messages and emails and well wishes, and I appreciate that. I was not able to get to all the DMs, but I did get to a majority of them, and I'm so grateful that you guys continue to support me even when I was on hiatus. I know you guys miss me a lot because dozens of you kept talking about how you were watching all of my older content, waiting for me to come back. And honestly, I feel so lucky. Not everyone is, blessed to have an audience as understanding as you guys. And I appreciate that you guys were okay with me taking a break from my mental health. I feel like you guys are my guardian angels. Today, we're supposed to be getting the second part of a video on the Mina situation, but due to unfortunate circumstances involving Mina herself, we're not able to do that. I don't think this is the best time to release a video on her. I am still planning on releasing the video. I haven't changed my mind, I promise. But I think that I need to wait a little bit and then I will release the video. And you know what? I think I'm going to be fine. Whatever her fans decide to throw at me this time around, I think I can handle it. So without further ado, let's get into today's video.
You know that I come first.
So, stage presence. What is it? Why does it matter? And can it affect how people view groups as a whole? Over time during my hiatus, I had a hard, long think about this. And while conducting research, I kept looking for types of stage presence and their archetypes, and I couldn't find any. So I decided to make up my own because I thought it would be easy. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. This video was actually inspired by Red Velvet. I've told you guys this before. Red Velvet is my ultimate group, and as their fan, I've always heard other Red Velvet loves and non-Velvet fans even say that Wendy has the best stage presence in the group. While of course stage presence is more subjective than objective, this often bothered me because I always thought that Irene had the best stage presence, but most people felt like she didn't at all. Digging deeper, some fans, including just Yeji, explained to me that they felt as if Irene wasn't as expressive as Wendy, therefore making her uninteresting to watch. And there it was. To most K-pop fans, and this is no judgment by the way, the more expressive a face is, the more stage presence an idol has. And to some extent, I agree. But I think there are certain things that need to be considered when we judge stage presence, and I'm going to talk about them in a moment. Now, what is stage presence? Stage presence, simply put, is the ability to capture, retain, and command the attention of an audience during a performance. When performing, an idol should be attractive, and I don't mean that in terms of looks. What I mean is that you should want to look at them when they perform. Stage presence is very powerful because in order to get people to listen, you need to capture their attention first. I firmly believe that stage presence next to looks is a huge factor in indicating which members become the most popular in one particular group. So, what does stage presence incorporate exactly? Well, if you say facial expressions, you are right. Well, partially. Stage presence incorporates so much more than just facial expressions. We have body language, personal energy, hair and makeup. Yes, believe it or not, it plays a major role, and I'll give you examples later, and overall chemistry with the rest of the members. When trying to build up archetypes, I studied over 50 K-pop groups, including ones that I don't normally listen to, over 200 fan cams, and way more stage performances than I can count. I then came to a simple conclusion that idols' performances can be divided into two broad sectors: masculine performers and feminine performers. This, by the way, has nothing to do with gender, rather the energy an idol gives off when performing. For instance, idols such as Dami of Dreamcatcher, Moonbyul of Mamamoo, Ryojin of ITZY, Mia of Everglow, Junghyun of Twice, Lisa of Blackpink, and Seulgi of Red Velvet are all women, but are masculine performers, while idols such as Taemin of SHINee, Wonyoung and Minhyuk of Monster X, Jimin of BTS, Sungwoo of ATEEZ, and Ten of Wavy are all men, but are feminine performers. If you can't simply tell right off the bat, most female masculine performers have stronger stage presence when their hair is shorter, while male feminine performers have stronger stage presence when their hair is either longer or in its natural color. I then further divide them into two other sectors: overt performers and covert performers, and these mean just that. Overt performers have very strong body language and energy, very much in your face, you would say, while coverted performers are more subtle in their performance. No one is better than the other, it just has to do with preference and what you like. For example, ATEEZ has more overted than coverted performers, and I enjoy that. But a lot of people, my mother included, feel like they're a bit much. Y'all remember Sun in Wonderland? My mom was like, my gosh, he needs to calm down. but that's just her, and it's not a bad thing. In the last section, I divide them according to performance styles. The first one being dominant, the second being charismatic, and the third one being sensual. All these mean different things, but I'll simplify it for you. Dominant performers are the ones who literally take over the whole stage. They are usually the fastest to notice in powerful concepts, and for girl groups in teen and girl crush concepts. They're the most recognizable. Dominant performers have very strong body language, but they're a little more subtle in their facial expressions. So simple things like lifting an eyebrow or smirking could make you lose your mind over them. They rely mostly on their body language to attract your attention. Examples include, but are not limited to, Jiwon and Shonu of Monster X, Ryujin of ITZY, Wasa of Mamamoo, Sun of ATEEZ, Changbin and Bangchan of Stray Kids, Jiwoo of KARD, Dami of Dreamcatcher, Yena of Everglow, V and J-Hope of BTS, and Jennie of Blackpink. 2. The charismatic performer. The charismatic performer, like the dominant, is the quickest to attract attention in almost any group and almost any performance. Unlike other performance styles, though, their facial expressions are in perfect balance with their body language. They rely on both to capture the audience's attention. Examples include, but are not limited to, Mia and EU of Everglow, Yuki of I-DLE, Jungkook of BTS, Kihyun of Monster X, Mingi and Yuno of ATEEZ, Wei-in of Mamamoo, Jihyo of Twice, literally the best example on this list, Lisa of Blackpink, Wendy and Seulgi of Red Velvet, and Moonbyul of Mamamoo. The sensual performer has subtle body language and facial expressions altogether. If the performer is underdeveloped, they can actually come off as aloof sometimes. But if they are well trained as a performer, they are almost untouchable. Examples include, but are not limited to, Hyungwon of Monster X, Somin of KARD, Asha of Everglow, Sungwa and Yesung of ATEEZ, Sola of Mamamoo, Soojin of I-DLE, Rosé of Blackpink, and Joy of Red Velvet. Now I know what the next question is. Cheryl, can we rank already? I'm almost there, but I did want to mention something else. There are idols who have more than one straight performance style. They could be a combination of any two of these. Dominant sensual, dominant charismatic, charismatic sensual, etc. It's not rare, but what is a rare occurrence is the energy styles. Actually, in all the idols that I've studied so far, and there are a lot, only 3 K-pop idols are masculine feminine performers. This has nothing to do with whether they can do both cute or powerful concepts. Like Joohan, for instance. Joohan is very much a masculine performer, but he can do both cute and strong concepts. This just means that the idol is constantly switching their energies in every single performance, and they can bend whichever one they feel like using at a specific time or one they feel is more suitable at a particular moment. This is because the focal point of their performance are at the top half of their face, mainly their eyes, eyebrows, and cheekbones. One of these idols is actually Sun of ATEEZ, and the other 2 on this list, and you'll find out soon enough who they are. I rank group stage presence differently from individual stage presence. When it comes to groups, I mainly focus on the chemistry their performance styles have with each other and whether it plays off well, not only with the members as a group, but also with the concepts that they're doing. I also focus on the members who stand out the most to see if they stand out in a way that complements the group or disorients it. And when I say disorient, I mean, does the member stand out but is still able to blend well with the other members of the group, or it just puts them so far apart with the rest of the group that the other members look like they're not even performing at all. Think about Sun of ATEEZ. Again, he is the most overt performer in the group, and some people do feel like it's too much. But because ATEEZ is filled with overt performers, plus they have a perfect balance of masculine and feminine energy, which, by the way, Sun carries both, he doesn't look like a solo artist with backup dancers. This is why BTS, Monster X, ATEEZ, and Stray Kids, in my opinion, are the best performers of our generation. Now, before I rank, a few disclaimers, and please listen to them because I don't want to deal with clowns in the comment sections, okay? 1. Mind the title of this video. This is called a brutally honest ranking, okay? On this platform, I have a reputation. I don't mince words, I don't pretend to like something that I don't, and I sure as hell don't give participation trophies, and I don't expect you to either. There are plenty of channels on this platform that do give participation trophies. If you want everyone on this list to be called a queen for merely existing, you're on the wrong channel watching the wrong video. So what does this all mean? It means that if I think an idol does not have good stage presence, I'll tell you. If I feel like an idol needs to significantly improve, I'll tell you. If I feel like an idol has loads of fan cams views simply because they're pretty and not because they actually have a good stage presence, once again, I'll tell you. I won't say an idol has good stage presence just to make you happy. I love y'all, but not that much. Number 2. As I've mentioned, this is my channel, so you're gonna get my opinion. And stage presence is more subjective than it is objective. It's based on personal preference, which differs from person to person. There's no such thing as being quote-unquote biased. You love who you love, and that's up to you. So, if my list for some insane out of the galaxy reason is not 99% similar to yours, no need to be a Vikings warrior in the comments section. It's not the apocalypse, I promise. It just means we have different taste. Number 3, don't be a Karen. For fuck's sake, don't write some long-ass essay about how ranking idols is disrespectful to their talent. Don't do it for 2 reasons. A, I'm not gonna read it, you're just wasting your time. And B, we live in a world with like 8 billion people. Someone is bound to be better than someone else at something. So that's just how life works. So please come down to earth with the rest of us. Thank you. Now we can rank. Coming in at number 4 is I-DLE. I'm actually surprised because I expected Aespa to be at the bottom, and not because they're bad or anything, but just because we haven't seen them perform on a lot of stages. Therefore, they haven't really shown us their full capacity yet. I mean, they only have a debut and a comeback, right? Studying I-DLE, I realized that performing as a group is a problem because the member stage presence chemistry doesn't play off well. First of all, Soyeon is the only masculine performer in the group compared to the other 5. Secondly, she has 2 performance styles. She is a dominant sensual, while the rest of the group only has 1. Even though she's not the only overt performer, she relies heavily on facial expressions, while the rest of the group is more body language oriented. Another problem, Mini, Mion, and Shua are so aloof as performers. That's literally half the group. And because they don't balance off as well, that's why for group performance, they're at the bottom of my list. Coming in at number 3 is Aespa. The group actually have great chemistry together when they perform. Even though Giselle is the only masculine performer, she is a coverted one, therefore relies on body language more than facial expressions, just like the rest of the group. So she doesn't stand out too much. The group overall has a perfect balance of covert and overt performers, 2 on each side. They are more body language expressive than facials expressive, therefore the masculine and feminine performers complement each other perfectly, especially in Next Level. I may not be the biggest fan of the song, but their stage presence for this performance was really good. Coming in number 2 is Everglow. Oh, I got you. You thought because they're my favorite group on this list, they'd be number 1, didn't you? As much as I love Everglow and I believe they are some of the best performers in our generation, their on-screen chemistry is overrun by ITZY just by a tiny margin. The group has 3 members who have 2 performance styles, and they are all dominant sexual performers. Mia is the only masculine performer, but her stage presence is complemented by Onda, who is both a masculine and feminine performer. That's the second idol I was talking about. And Asha, who's an overt performer in the dominant sector, therefore her stage presence is just as strong and just as attention-grabbing as Mia's. The group is also split in the middle when it comes to overt and covert performers, so they balance each other out. Mia and Asha are facial performers, EU, Xion, and Irene are energy performers, and Onda balances both as she has a perfect blend of facial expressions and body language. She doesn't really heavily rely on either side for her stage presence. Overall, Everglow is a group that has many strengths as performers, and for any weaknesses a particular member has, there's always another one to compensate for it. Coming in at number 1 is ITZY. ITZY are topping this list as the group with the best performance chemistry and collective stage presence. It was evident right from their debut that their stage presence as a group is impeccable. Like Everglow's Onda, Yeji is the other person on this list who's a masculine and feminine performer. And the combination she and Ryujin have is the group's stronghold. They have the strongest and most impactful stage presence. Although Leah and Chaeryeong are coveted performers, they have very strong body language. And as for Chaeryeong, her dance skills seem to elevate because facial expressions wise, she's not the strongest in the group. So to be an energy performer and a dancer is a bonus for her. Yuna is one of the most impressive performers in K-pop so far. It's rare to find a performer that young in girl groups who's a charismatic sensual type, which is the rarest combination to find in my analysis. This group doesn't have 1 but 3 rare performers. First, Yeji, who's a masculine feminine performer. Then there's Yuna, who is a combination of charismatic and sensual. Then finally, we have Ryujin, who is the only masculine overt dominant performer in K-pop girl groups. I know I don't know every single girl group on the planet, but I'm willing to bet my life on this, okay? And this is why ITZY is at the top of the list. Now that we're done with groups, let's get into individual rankings. When ranking idols individually, I look at 4 main aspects. Number 1, facial expressions. Not just how expressive they are, but how appropriate their facial expressions are based on the concept being portrayed. 2, body language and energy. How strong or passive their body language is, from the way they carry themselves on stage to how expressive their limbs are and how they use them to enhance their stage presence. 3, camera play. How they use the camera time to their advantage. Whether the camera time is a lot or a little, it doesn't matter. What matters is what they do with it. In a world where under exists, you cannot tell me that with little camera time you can't do much, okay? Number 4, performance archetype in relation to a particular concept. No performance archetype is better than the other, in my personal opinion. We all have differences and preferences, of course, but some archetypes only suit certain concept and others, not so much. Having a performance type that can be used on more than one concept will land you higher on this list in particular. Also, if you have time, please make your own list down below. I would love to read them as well. Number 21 is Miyeon. Miyeon is at the bottom of this list, and like I said, I will not be handing participation trophies. Miyeon is at the bottom of this list because she genuinely lacks stage presence. While I do understand that her job is to be the amazing vocalist that she is, the girl is literally boring to watch. As a feminine covert archetype, she performs more with her body language as opposed to her facial expressions. However, the problem is that her body language is weak and a little passive, and it comes off as very inconfident. The energy from Miyeon in every stage performance is rather passive and unexciting, and she does not capture attention at all. In fact, until the research for this video, I never put any effort to watch any Miyeon fan cams, okay? And I am a huge fan of I-DLE. She doesn't make me want to watch her, in my personal opinion, and in improvement, she needs to be a little more expressive with her body and in camera play as well. She has great eye contact, but if she was slightly more striking with her body language, she would be more interesting to watch. Like Miyeon, she has a bland and uninteresting face to watch once again. The only difference, however, is that her body language is a little less on the passive side. It's not great, but it's better than Miyeon. And because her overall energy is a little more on the dominant side, she's not unbearably boring to watch on stage. Now, my sister and I disagree on this ranking, but I definitely feel like Winter's fan cams get so many views because she's beautiful, just like Iren. While she's talented, of course, in my opinion, the woman cannot hold stage presence to save a life. Not only are her facial expressions bland, her stage presence energy is weak, and her body language is really passive. I know it might be confusing that I labeled her as a charismatic type and then call her bland, but because she's a covert performer, it makes it very difficult for her to bring up the charismatic energy that is in her body language. The charismatic type often thrives under overt or masculine performers. In feminine and coverted styles, it works with cuter and ballad-like concepts, and so far we have not seen Aespa do any of those extensively. Number 18 is Minnie. Minnie's archetype is similar to Shua, but she tops her off of the basis that she has slightly more expressive facials. While she may be bland, she does show expression from time to time. A good example is during Dum Dee Dum Dee era. She was slightly more playful with the camera, and I appreciated that. Another reason is that the blandness actually suits her face. Unlike Shua, it doesn't look out of place and strange. Minnie's eye shape actually complements that part of her stage presence, or rather lack thereof. So even when she isn't doing much, it does not look like nothing, especially when you look at her oh my god performances. #17 is Soyeon. As I've mentioned before, Chaeyoung doesn't have the best in the facial expressions department, but what she does have going on for her is her body language. It's not passive and boring, therefore she does not come off as unentertaining. And as someone who's in a group full of amazing performers, she doesn't come off as someone who's not a part of the group. As a charismatic type, Chaeyoung has to work on the intensity of her facial expressions, not the actual facial expressions themselves. For instance, using her eyebrows, like her sister. I'm not trying to compare her to her sister, but they have the same performance type. But Chaeyoung is a better stage performer in my personal opinion. I feel like Chaeyoung could use the exact same tricks to make her stage presence even better. 16, Giselle. I'm not gonna lie, Giselle's stage presence improvement between Black Mamba and Next Level is more than just impressive. Maybe it's a change in hair color, I don't know, but her Next Level stage presence was exactly that. She took it up a notch, especially with her eye contact, the camera play. She gave me everything that I was missing during the Black Mamba era. However, I do believe that as someone with strong body language and someone who's a charismatic performer, she does need to increase the intensity of her facial expressions so that they match the energy of her body language, and then she'll be good to go. I strongly believe that she has the potential to become one of the best performers in the fourth generation. Soyeon. Okay, here's my thing with Soyeon. She gets all this camera time and she gives us nothing but her amazing vocals. I was a little tougher on Soyeon because as someone who gets a whole lot of camera time, because she's a lead vocalist, of course, she shouldn't be giving us crumbs. I mean, in first, they made this woman stand on literal people. My sister was like, if I was Soyeon, I would be doing the most right now. Even in La-Di-Da era, please don't sue me. Okay, please don't sue me. And I love our leader very much, I really do. But this woman gave us crumbs with all that screen time. It was her era. But Onda, who literally had 16 seconds of screen time and danced right behind her during the dance break, was outshining her. Mia doesn't even stand out in performances like La-Di-Da, yet she performed better than her. I found Soyeon a little bit bland sometimes. And I know this must come as a shock because in my last video when I talked about their stage presence, I said I had nothing but good things to say about her. But after really studying them properly, I just realized that my standards were just too damn low at that time. 14 is Leah. Mafia in the Morning proved me wrong about Leah in every way possible. I am impressed by how fast Leah's stage presence can improve from era to era. I mean, it's not like she was bad in other eras at all. In fact, in my opinion, she was doing just fine. Of course, she wasn't anything outstanding, but she stood the concepts very well and her facial expressions kept getting better by each era. But in Mafia in the Morning, she had the it factor that I was looking for. Is it just me or Leah always looks expensive? Like her energy, not her clothes. I mean, I know her clothes are expensive, but like her energy is so expensive. Her sensual side was coming out little by little. And in their recent performances, they have really propelled her further up this list. In Bomba Chocolat era, EU was actually my bias. Yeah, I know, a crazy story. She was so striking during this era and it did her good. Her facial expressions were actually the best out of all of their performances during this era. One thing I have noticed about EU is that she performs throughout, with or without the camera in her face, and that's what hits me the most. If you watch her face cams, she keeps in her element the entire time as the entire performance goes, and she does not drop the performance no matter what. Therefore, if the camera catches her at any time, she's ready for it. Her facial expressions are her most powerful element, and like any charismatic performer, her whole face performs with her. The winks, the eyebrow lifts, the lip biting, the camera eye contact, it's everything. But I do want to say one thing. Like Onda, the bangs need to go. They're not helping her stage presence. Is Eren. If first wasn't a thing, I'm not gonna lie, Eren would not have been this high up the list, but this era genuinely tested Eren's stage presence and she excelled. Again, not to be rude, but I do feel like winter, She always had this high fan cams because of A, produce, and B, because she's really pretty. And once again, there's nothing wrong with being beautiful, but the actual stage presence between Bonbon Chocolat and like Ladida, it wasn't really there. At least in terms of facial expressions. That's just my opinion. For Iran, however, the one thing I did admire, and I've mentioned this before, is the way she carries herself on stage. Her stage presence itself was very strong and alluring, and that's why she was on the sensual side in this spectrum. But it wasn't until first that her dominant side came out, a side I never even knew existed. And the way she carries herself during these chorus bits is just beautiful. Like, I can't wait to see what she gives us in the coming comebacks. When I watched La Teta stages, Yuki was so charismatic and striking, especially eye contact wise. Her smile was so captivating that era. In fact, her whole face was captivating, and over time she's never stopped. Her body language, stage presence itself always comes off as confident and intense. Lion era was another impressive era for me, and her performances in Queendom overall. Yuki has one of the most expressive faces in K-pop, and she is not afraid to play with the camera when she wants to, and that just elevates her stage presence. Her body language also balances and complements the strength of her facial expressions, which makes it easy for her to draw attention. I have nothing more to say except keep up the good work, girl. Aespa really surprised me, I'm not gonna lie. Ning Ning is one of my favorite performers in this group. Her energy during Black Mamba was so captivating beyond words, and her intense eye contact was the first to capture my attention. And like all sensual types, she really knows how to use her body language to her advantage. From the way she moves her hands to the way she walks on stage, there's a sense of something very sexy yet elegant in her movements, and the fact that she does this while maintaining eye contact with the camera is just so alluring, and it gives her this air of mystery, and it's beautiful to watch. Nine is Soojin. Now, you would be lying if you said you didn't find Soojin somewhat seductive, okay? Because this woman's stage presence has impressed me continuously. Her ability to not only capture attention with the viewer, but to command it is almost dangerous. As an overperformer, her strength is in her body language. It's strong, but it's not excessive. And it works well with her because she's a sensual performer. She's not big on facial expressions, but she knows how to use her eyes to attract attention, and then her body language and her energy to keep that attention. Like all overt sensual performers, she has amazing eye contact. Her eyes are not only playful, but they are very attractive, and it works well for her. Her archetype is perfect for concepts that I-DLE does in songs like Lion and Oh My God, because she shines the best in those stages because sensual performers thrive on those songs. Number 8 is Karina. Karina captures the public a lot, and there's a reason for that. Because Karina is a dominant type, she usually grabs all the attention firsthand with her body language and her energy because they're excessively addictive. The interesting thing is that she doesn't have to do much with her face. She doesn't actually need to. It works well for her because even if her face isn't doing anything, she does not look like a brick wall trying to dance. The secret weapon to the dominant type is that they don't need facial expressions unless they're a feminine covert performer. Those facial expressions do make them stronger performers, yes, but they don't need it. Have you seen her and Winter doing the Black Mamba chorus? They're the most popular members in the group, but when Karina does it, it hits different, and there's a reason. It's because of the strength and the intensity in her body language. It gives her the advantage. Her stage presence feels natural, and that's one of the reasons why she ranks so high up the list. Seven is Yuna. Yuna was always that member that was so attractive performance-wise right from debut. She had this aura around her that was so charismatic. Her ability to perform with her whole face and be charismatic, but then turn around and have this sensual side of hers that comes out of nowhere, it just elevates her stage presence to another level where she's almost untouchable. Her sensual side is where she focuses more on her body and her eyes and stops using her entire face like when she is in her charismatic form. This is also very rare because most idols look dead once their faces stop moving, yet Yuna keeps looking good. She may not be extremely sensual as a performer, but her body language gives us enough to keep wanting more, and she doesn't empty everything on stage and then bore us the next time we see her. Sexy. That is literally the first thing that comes to my mind when she's on stage. What was that? Tall idols are awkward on stage? Sis, where? Dominant sensual performers are something. They really have this power on stage. I feel like to be this combination, you can fake it. In fact, Everglow's entire Magnet line has this combination, the dominant sensual, and the online concert just blew me away and proved that. Asha's force came through Adios era because she started rapping in that era, and I don't know what happened, something just snapped. She hit different, and we never got Bonbon Chocolat Asha ever again. I think what makes Asha so different is that her stature alone is what makes her the dominant performer, but her body language wise, she's truly more sensual than she is dominant. Also, another thing, Asha is very playful with the camera. Hair flips, smirks, winks. You name it, she'll do it. For a sensual performer to use her eyes to her advantage like that is impressive and actually almost overwhelming. Asha is a dominant sensual performer in every sense of that phrase. Number 5 is Onda. This woman worked her way to deserve this spot. If first cannot convince you that Onda is an exquisite performer, I do not know what will. People kept saying that they were so impressed with Onda's quote-unquote improvement and that she was not the same anymore, but I beg to differ. It's not that she improved that much. It's just that A, she lost the damn bangs, and B, she got more screen time, so now you're paying attention. Don't believe me? Watch all her done performances. The only time Onda ever got recognition in the comment section for her performances were the performances she did not have any bangs on. Then in Ladida, they added her screen time, and in her first performance, she had no bangs. And because of that, she got the second most viewed Ladida fan cam on their first performance. That literally never happens to her, by the way. It got to the point where even in Ladida performances where she did have bangs, people were looking for her, going out of their way to try and find her because they wanted more of it. Then when first happened, all hell broke loose because she got 1 minute of center time and a center dance break. In first, her aggressive side showed, which is something that people are not usually used to seeing in Onda, and for her sensual side, it's been there since before debut. What makes her so unique as a performer, and it's the same thing with Yeji, is her ability to switch from dominant masculine energy to feminine sensual within seconds, multiple times throughout one performance, which is why once you start to recognize her stage presence, you become addicted and you can't stop. Okay, am I the only one who says that's hot literally every time Ryujin does something? Because it is. She can be a dominant masculine performer without coming off as overly aggressive like most masculine dominant performers. She lets her existence speak for itself, if you know what I mean. Her body language alone is enough to make you pay attention. Like I remember in Wannabe era, I could not look at anybody else because Ryujin just simply would not allow it. Her facial expressions especially were a perfect way to complement her energy as a performer. Like I said, most dominant performers don't need facial expressions, but what makes Ryujin different is that she uses facial expressions to complement that, and that strengthens her stage presence overall. Next to Soyeon, she has the best camera play of all the idols on this list, if not in the all fourth generation girl groups. Her intensity is so attention drawing, and it makes the viewer genuinely enjoy watching the performance. And that's what in a nutshell true stage presence is about, right? It's about making sure people genuinely enjoy watching you when you're performing. And I am impressed by her ability to do that. Ugh, this woman, why does she do this to me? Yeji, as I mentioned earlier, along with Son of ATEEZ and Onda, are the only K-pop idols I have found so far who are masculine feminine performers. One thing that captivates me is that even as a masculine and feminine performer whose eyes and her eyebrows are focal points of performance, she's a charismatic performer as well, which means she's still able to use her whole face if she wants to. Yeji is easily so attractive on stage because she has powerful body language and she uses it wisely. And what I mean by that is that she doesn't throw it all out there. When she needs to use her face, she will use her face. When she needs to use her body language, she'll use that. Therefore, she doesn't come off as a bit much like Sun sometimes. I love you, man, but my mom, as usual, is right. You gotta tone it down a little bit. I swear to you, this was a tight race. I watched Mia and Soyeon fan cams for almost 3 hours straight trying to figure out who should come first. And y'all, this shit was hard. I think it's safe to say that Mia may have shaken the 4th generation girl groups because this woman can perform for all of Asia. Fight me. The first time I truly noticed her stage presence was in I-DLE's era, and I don't think I'd ever been that shocked by an idol stage presence. Her camera eye contact, her facial expressions, her insane, strong body language. This woman was overflowing with charisma and still is. And the fact that she was a rookie at that time made absolutely zero sense to me. I am beyond impressed by how captivating she is and how she keeps going and she doesn't stop. She literally gets better every comeback. After Alexa, Mia is the best charismatic performer in all of K-pop. Don't talk to me, I don't make the rules. Well, I mean, I did create the rules for this ranking system, so... Anyways, you can argue with God on that. Bye. And there she is, the queen of this list. Y'all know it had to be either her or Mia, right? Y'all knew this was gonna happen. I was looking for the best way to describe her performance ability, and I got one. When my mom watched Soyeon perform, she described her as a demon that doesn't jump in the common spirit. Translation, she's a boss-ass bitch. It all goes without saying that this woman is one of the best performers of this generation. She has all the confidence I want in life. Soyeon is not only the most attractive on stage, but she has the best and most impressive facial expressions, and they come off as natural and unrehearsed, and that is what makes her one of the best performers to this very day. Everything she performs, you can tell she's genuinely enjoying being on that stage. She plays with the camera so well. Her eye contact alone could make me faint. She has the stage presence of a goddess, and along with Mia of Everglow, few female idols on this planet can truly compare. And that was my list, y'all. Oh my god, it was so hard to rank all 21 of these female idols. If you guys want to do other group combinations that you want me to do, I know that chances are people are probably gonna ask me to do the Holy Trinity. I will try to do that. Also, in the comment section, you could go ahead and write your own ranking list if you have time, because there's like 21 of them. But if you have time, put your list down below. I'd really like to see it. And once again, you do not have to agree with my list. If you don't agree with it, you're more than welcome to write your own, or you could, just move to Mars where no one would disagree with you and your opinions. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.